Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to round one of the Tegiwa BMW M8 GTE Championship. It's Evo SRTV here. You're joined by James Salt and my co-commentator Tom McMahon in the commentary box. Tom, how are you doing?
I am very well, thank you, Mr. Salt, and I am very excited for the race we've got this evening.
Indeed, and you've joined us at the start of qualifying. It's open qualifying, so obviously a lot of the drivers trying to get space on the track to set their flying laps. As we watch Carl Swift going a little bit deep there, still on his out lap, so not too bad. Tom, round one, Tegiwa BMW GTE Championship, 5 rounds. We watched a bit of practice on Monday, saw a few of the guys get into grips with the car and the tracks. Any sort of, I don't know, favourites in this one? I know the sort of the history of the championship is very much real-world drivers, but they've obviously taken to the sim, given recent coronavirus situation. Who's the sort of standout? So I know we saw Rob in the practice session, Rob Baker. He went from the back and won that race. Any others for you, Tom?
I think the man that we are watching now, Jake Hewlett, is a very, very seasoned iRacer, so I don't think we can look too far past him. He's got the highest iRacing in the field of over 6,000. But the great thing about this league, these races, it's fixed setup, 100% fuel, so everyone's got identical in-sim equipment, which should level the playing field slightly. We saw practice times were very, very close just before we went on air. We've also got, as I scroll through, I think we've got a field of 36 drivers. As you said, Rob Baker trying to jostle for some position in qualifying. Pete Harrod, another seasoned sim racer. And again, some of the drivers who have got the real life experience were performing really well, way out performing their iRacing in practice. So no real favourites, just an exciting start to a new championship.
Indeed, indeed. It's obviously single car BMW M8. You mentioned it was full fuel. We've seen a few of the guys having trouble, I guess, with the brakes. The car, doesn't have, as we see Luke demonstrating that in the into the hairpin. But no ABS in this one, Tom. There is traction control. So getting out the corner is probably easier than getting into them. But we have seen a few of the guys locking up that the front set of tyres. Focusing on qualifying, we mentioned at the start that it's an open qualifying, so there's other cars on the track, whereas others on iRacing will mostly recognise that when you do qualify, you've got the track to yourself. That's not the case here. So a lot of the drivers are trying to find space out there. As we watch Luke again struggling to get a lap time in for qualifying. Pete Harrod currently at 126 point. I've been beaten by Jake Hewlett, a 125.768 to take pole position for the time being. I believe that's a good time, Tom. We saw the practice beforehand. The 25 seem to be where you need to be.
Yeah, anything in the 25s, you'll be right up there. Obviously, as I've just popped the weather graphic up on the right-hand side of the screen, as track temp goes up, the times will get a little bit slower. But I don't anticipate that will be a huge factor across the race. The drivers will feel it, but not to a great extent. The times in practice, though, were very close. I think the top 11 were within a second. So that really bodes well for a great race. You can see it's a busy track up ahead, and that's part of the art of this open qualifying, is to try and find yourself some space, which, as we've been watching Jake, it appears that he has been doing that. And this looks like a very clean lap. He has set 3 purple sectors in a row, so expect this time to be bettered and extend his gap at the top. He does have traffic coming into the final corner. Will this hold him up? Oh, Rhea's trying to get away from him. Get it through Goddard's. Out the final corner. Will he improve his time? Across the line now. Yes, he does. 25.5.
So half a second back to Rob Baker, currently in the pits, and we've got Pete Harrod in 3rd position, 6 tenths behind Ewan Marshall in 4th position. Who are we watching here? It's one of the CQR cars going into the hairpin, so coming up to complete their lap. And I think he's abandoned that one.
probably again try to find some space, and we'll try and give as many drivers as we can to are just hopping on board with Reese Lewis. We've got the qualifying graphic on the bottom part of the screen, so you can tell who are the drivers coming to complete their laps. Obviously, green means personal best sectors, yellow means they're no improvement, and the fabled purple sectors, if you do see any, means quickest in that sector. As more and more times are getting set, we have 23 cars have set a lap time, so 13 do need to get a time in, but they've got time, just coming up to halfway through the session. Ben Leach off the track. We've got a purple sector from Ben. Oh, and Ben Sharp's in the gravel. He'd set such a good sector one, I got excited.
Currently sitting in 7th position, looking to improve, but not doing a good job of that whilst in the gravel trap. Let's talk about the race, Tom. It's a 40-minute feature race. I know there was mention leading up to this potential 2 races, but we've stuck with the one race, 40 minutes. Tyres and everything like that, this should be okay, I presume. Might be feeling a little bit towards the end. Obviously, fuel's not going to be an issue, given it's a full tank. And off tracks as well, I think, is limited to 20.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, and I can't remember if it's a drive-through or a sort of a DQ at that point. Rob Baker currently 2nd, heading into the old hairpin. Rob was much closer to Jake Hewlett in the practice, so I think there's still time there that Rob can find. We saw he was in the pits quite early on in the qualifying session, but he's back out there now looking to improve. As Pete Harrod goes with a 26.0. He's in 3rd position. And I just saw Ben Sharp was also setting, I think, a purple sector. Again, Ben in 7th position. Here he is. Heading down the hill. You used to run that livery, Tom, a long time ago.
Back in the day, I did run. It's a cracking livery. New fan favourite there. I was just going to say, obviously, cold tyres would probably be the biggest issue when you were talking about the race with regards to fuel, tyres, etc. Cold tyres, lap 1 will be the real big one. So expect some fireworks and some cars off, because there are some very new sim races here. There's some very experienced ones as well. And even the experienced ones can get caught out just trying to push a little bit too hard. And it will take probably 2 laps for these GTEs to get the tyres bedded in. And that's something to expect. Even in qualifying, that your first lap probably won't be your fastest, but we're looking for that 2nd lap. I can see Tom Metherall in 14th is about to cross the line. He's put a good lap together. Will he improve? Yes, he does, up to 7th.
That's a good lap from him. So a 2nd covering the top 10. Ben Sharp just outside that in 11th. Ben Leach now goes... Pete Harrod improved whilst Ben Leach went 3rd. He was 2nd temporarily. Rob Baker down in 4th. I think Rob was, I think he was 3rd in the practice session, so I know there's more time for him to be had. The red numbers on the left-hand side, Tom, do you want to explain that? I know we've covered it in the practice.
I can show you now. It was red for Rob Baker, and that simply means that that person is off the track at the current stage. Now, obviously, it could be a small off-track, just putting sort of 2 wheels into the grass, or if you see it flash up for a prolonged amount of time, it's probably more indicative of them having a bit of a bigger off. I just saw, I think Mark Burton had a small red number flash up. So keep an eye on that throughout the race. We obviously have an instant tracker that will help us keep you up to date with everything that's going on throughout the field. Obviously 36 cars, there's a lot to try and follow, and we'll try and give as much airtime and follow the action as we can. But that's a nice way for everyone. So, as again, Mark Burton is off the track. Can I find him? He's now reset to the pits.
I do need to check on that, don't we? The 20 limit, because with a 40-minute race, we are seeing some of the guys pushing the limits of the track. This is going to get interesting into the chicane. I mean, Jake Hewlett with, I was going to say half a second to P2, but actually Pete Harrod, look, has closed that to within a 10th. And with...
I was just going to say the top 14 are all within a second, which promises to have some really close racing.
That's good indeed, yeah, hopefully.
Now got 34 as Mr. Bibby has joined the session.
Has Bibby just literally joined now then? Has he
I
sort
believe
of
so.
woken up?
He's 35 seconds off the pace, so I think his first lap may have been a sighter, we'll call it.
Oh, geez. I don't think Bibby realised potentially that it was an open qualifying like this. They probably just thought, you know, I'll leave it 5 minutes, get in the car, do a lap, and hopefully put it somewhere decent. But anyway, he's got a few minutes left. He can probably get another couple of laps in at most, I'd say.
And let's go on board for a lap of Donington with our man Lewis Bibby. So through turn 1, through the gears as you go down the hill, through the Craner curves, eyeing up the old hairpin. Will it be flat? This should be flat comfortably. Yes, easy. Probably take 3rd gear. Hit the curb, don't track extend on the outside. Heading up towards McLean's, flat out, up to 5th gear. Then we'll probably flick it down to 3rd again. Maybe take 2nd if he feels like it's a bit heavy. No, we're going to hold it in 3rd. Don't track extend on the left. Very, very nice. Blind crest. Throw the car in. Hope there's a track there. Here it is. Now accelerating down to the chicane. Laps coming together pretty nicely here for Bibby. Now spot your chicane and try not get off tracks. Onto the curb on the outside. Don't touch the grass. 3rd. Clip the curb on the left, clip the curb on the right. Watch the car's going to unsettle. Good catch. Very nice. Who says you can't slide a car in iRacing? Down to Melbourne hairpin. You're going to take 1st gear here. Nice and slow. I think Jake Hewlett is behind. See in the rearview mirror. Accelerating up to Goddard's the final hairpin. And we'll see where this lap puts Bibby. I don't believe there's been any off tracks as we now head out the final corner.
What can he do?
Bibby.
It's 22nd at the moment. Will he improve? I'm sure he will. Where's it going to put him?
17.
17th. Okay, maybe he's got a bit of a wake-up call.
Yeah, he's got more to do. You can see Jake Hewlett putting a 25.6 behind him, but is now caught up in Bibby's slipstream. Looking up, Martin Higginson moves up to 16th place. The gaps at the times at the top are closing. Carl Swift, we saw him having some problems at the beginning of qualifying, not so much now. Crosses the line, was 11. Has actually been knocked down. Adam Shepherd behind him moves to 9th. We've got Tom Metherell has now moved up to P3. Pete Harrod can't go faster, 25.6. He will have time to complete this lap, so this is the one for him. I don't know if Hewlett's going to have enough time to get round. It's all getting rather exciting at the final part of qualifying.
Lap times are coming down, but it's still Jake Hewlett who's holding that P1 position with less than a minute to go. So anyone that's on their laps now, we just need to keep an eye on those, see if they do improve at all.
League organiser crosses the line.
Indeed.
No improvement. That's ruined that lap for Sentikowski. Back on board with Bibby as he comes across the line. Now I'm not sure, will they be allowed to finish this lap? So they could have enough time. Bibby improves again up to 16th. He might have one more lap. I'm intrigued to see Pete Harrod. He set purple sector through sector 2 as he now heads down towards the Melbourne hairpin. And it's tantalisingly close for provisional pole. Up to Goddard's.
It's coming to an end. If the cars all disappear after about 10 seconds, then we'll know the answer.
Oh, big slide. Big slide. I don't think it's going to be enough. Over the line. No, 26.0. So you can complete the lap. Hewlett's going quickly. Has set purple through sector 3. Bibby behind him is on a green sector. Keep an eye out on the timing board to the left-hand side of his car there.
Oh my God.
Oh, that's not a good place to park. Oh, dearie me. That's a horrible end. Bibby is still on a lap and trying to finish this. And he's quite a way off, 1.2 off, so he could still improve. We had a green sector 1. Alex Kilner is about to come across the line. Was in 34th. Is he going to improve? Unsure. Bibby smooth on the power as he crosses the line. Was a 26.7. Moves up to 8th. Good lap.
Yeah, he's improved over the 3 or 4 laps that we've seen. A late joiner. Rob coming to complete one of his laps, currently sitting in 4th, doesn't improve. Oh, he did improve. He closed the gap to Metherell in 3rd position, but still stays in 4th position. It's a good starting position for Rob, for Tom, Pete, Jake Hewlett. He's going to be starting on pole. He's left the car on the track with no front end. Do we have any others out on the track? That's Hewlett having a little spin in turn 1.
It was more that I was trying to find this, where the number 2
there
car, that is not a great place, and goes flying off through the national layout. But
wow.
I believe...
Is that everyone? I can still see a car. Oh, it's Rob's just saying he's taking no for an answer. He wants to keep going. I think Rob must have. If you had the practice lap that Rob's ran, he must have done about 50 laps so far.
Committed to the cause.
Every time we've seen. No, there we go.
There we go.
Been forced out of the session. Tom, one thing that we noticed in the practice race on Monday night was a standing start, so we'll be able to chat about that shortly as we go through.
I do believe. Sorry to just butt over you. I think it is a rolling start.
It's a rolling start. Okay.
I believe it might have just been an oversight for the practice session.
Got it. Okay. So it's Jake Hewlett who takes P1, with Pete Harrod in 2nd, Tom Metherell 3rd position, Rob Baker 4th, Ben Leach and Connor Murphy take 5 and 6. Martin Moore in 7th, Lewis Bibby, a late joiner, in 8th position, Christopher Paul in 9th, Adam Shepherd 10th, Mark Burton and Ewan Marshall take 11 and 12. P13 and 14 are Carl Swift and Anthony Mott, and then Ben Sharp and Connor Sheldon. Martin Higginson and Mark Guy take 17 and 18, 19 and 20 are Gavin Ranson and Rodran Vella. Dave Buki in 21st and Liam Davies in 22nd, Jack Grime and Tim Darracott in 23rd and 24th. Charles Heath and Oliver Sig in 25th and 26th, Matthew Tidmarsh and Luke Sedowski in 28th, and then Alex Richardson, James Forsyth, Kevin B. Straw, Mike Moss in 32nd, Fraser Bradburn, Alex Kilner in 34th, and Luke Handley and Reese Lewis completes the 36-car grid. And we can see a safety car, so like you said, Tom, it is a rolling start, which is good. Not the full formation lap on this one, thankfully. Some of the tracks on iRacing, some of the formation lap's going to be about 3 minutes long, but not here. So
just a nice short one, and then Hewlett will let the safety car come in. It is a very early from when the safety car pulls in to when the lights go green, so expect him to maybe leave a slight gap and then just bolt out of the final hairpin heading down to turn 1 and see you can get the jump.
It's going to be an interesting first lap for sure. I know we saw quite a few incidents on Monday night, but hopefully with a 40-minute race ahead of the guys, they take it a little bit easier, and we have a good number of the guys survive this this lap 1. It is round 1 of the Tegiwa BMW M8 GTE Championship. There's a lot to play for, and it's all to come. As it's Jake Hewlett and Pete Harrod on the front row, and then we've got Tom Metherell and Rob Baker alongside him in 4th position. No, sorry, we haven't. We've got yeah, we do have Rob in 4th. Sorry, then Ben Leach in 5th. So you mentioned, Tom, the safety car does vanish quite quickly, and I think most starts that I've seen here, I know Jake's very experienced. Do you think he'll bolt straight away? Let's see what he does.
Green, green, green.
Sounds like he's gone. He has gone. It leads the cars over the start finish, and he's got a healthy gap. He should get through turn 1 okay, but we've got side-by-side action behind as Metherell's having a look down the inside on Harrod, where Harrod covers him off as they head down the hill. I can't hear any contact behind. It looks like the majority of the guys have got through safely. Lewis Bibby down the hill. He's on the inside temporarily. And that's Lewis Bibby up to, I believe, 7th position. As the cars go into the old hairpin. Mark Burton. Oh, we've had contact up ahead. That's big contact.
It's going to be on the racing line. It's carnage in the mid-pack.
We've got a car. Who's that? It's Connor Sheldon with the front end missing on his BMW. He's ploughing on though, out of McLean's. Bit of argy-bargy there.
I think it's all started to settle down now. No, it hasn't. This car's still absolutely everywhere.
So
back to the front of the field.
Jake Hewlett, he's away cleanly. He's coming to the end of his lap 1. We've got Carl Swift apparently in the pits.
Ignore that. It's because they're towed back to the pits, so it's just when they go across the line, it will all reset because the timing thinks that they've done a lap. But
So it's Pete Harrod from Tom Metherell in 2nd position. Rob Baker is still in 4th. And we've got, here we go. There we go. It's updating now. So Ben Leach and Lewis Bibby's up 2 positions into 6th position. So good start from him. As Jake Hewlett set the fastest time, unsurprisingly, last time around. So Tom, we had some action indeed. We saw some contact. I think we were expecting that. We got that. It was very much the mid pack, but it's a race on here. Effectively, a good chunk of the guys at the front of the field, probably top 6, top 7, all in this fight.
7, I believe. I think Conor Murphy, on the back of them.
And then it's a gap back to Mark Burton, it would seem.
Up 3 places, and then you've got one of the biggest movers is Gavin Ranson, is up from 19th up to 10th.
It's a great start from him, and I think we mentioned on as we see a couple of spinners, synchronized spinners in the background. Hopefully they're off the racing line. They are indeed. It's Ben Sharp going for a spin. You mentioned on Monday, actually, Tom, the grass in iRacing is just like ice, basically. Once you put a wheel on there, it's often just spins you around. Yeah.
Oh, we've got Connor Sheldon stuck trying to make sure he rejoins safely. He does. Reese Lewis has picked his way through and is up 13 spots from the back of the grid up to 23rd. So good on him. Really, really good. We're going to head back to the top of the field as Hewlett comes across the line. And look at that group of 4. Tom Metherell heading them. And it's the fight for the fight for the win, fight for first place currently, and a fight for the podiums. We're going to hop on board with Rob Baker plunging down the hill.
Even down there, Tom, we've seen the car snap, haven't we? Just on sort of aero loss. As Tom Metherell goes wide there, very wide. Keep it straight and they'll get back okay, with no trouble. May get a slowdown, but that's promoted Rob up into 3rd position. But Ben Leach literally on the bumper of Rob Baker, pushing him round. It's an awful corner, that one, the blind crest. Waiting for the traction to bite, and then it does, and then down this straight. This is where we saw the top guys, or the quicker guys. They were through this chicane much quicker than the other guys who weren't quite on that pace.
Can just thread the car. It's that car control, balancing it on the edge of the grip. I believe that we've got some side-by-side action as we come heading down towards the chicane. Who is going to blink first? As we're on board with Roger and Bella. And I believe Adam Shepherd has fallen into line. Yes, he has. Group of cars battling for the mid-teens. Oh, and I think that's... has that Adam Shepherd gone?
I think it... Well, no, it wasn't. It was... who is behind?
Can't fight. Yeah, it was Adam Shepherd.
It was Adam Shepherd, sorry, yeah.
And Rob Baker just put in a 25.8, so that's on the pace of the leaders.
They've fallen back a little bit as Rob, but we saw them racing, didn't we? Lewis Bibby up 3 positions in 5th place for the time being. So it looks like it's, at this point, yeah, you've got a 2.8 second, couple of second gap from P2 to P3. These guys battling for effectively the last place on the podium. I don't think this is the end of their race by any chance. I think we'll see more racing from these guys. We're only 5 minutes in. We've still got 35 minutes left, and we've seen quite a bit so far. I think we've still got about 30 cars running, or certainly 30 cars on the lead lap, so I understand. But one thing we didn't mention, there is no fast repair in this, Tom.
No.
So if you pick up damage, it is like real life. The damage is going to stick with you. It doesn't go anywhere. You can get bent steering, aerodynamic loss. You can get it all in this. So as we look for a move, but it's not a move. That's a back marker getting out of the way, thankfully. Jake Hewlett completes lap 4 to go into lap 5 now. And he's led from the start. But Pete Harrod, he's very much there, and we saw he was only, I think, about 10th, was it, Tom? I think about 10th off in qualifying, so he's certainly got the pace that he needs to.
Under a 10.
The majority, I'll say the majority, huge portion of this is just your consistency of pulling them laps together. One minor spin can put you out of the running. So,
and it's exactly what we spoke about in the practice session on Monday. And just another shout out to Gavin Ranson, up 11 spots, just put in his personal best lap of the race, and he's up to 8th.
He's doing a fantastic job. He's not under direct pressure, so he just needs to do his thing, keep it clean and complete the laps. And a very solid 8th position so far. Back on board with Ben Leach. So he's chasing down Rob Baker. We've got Lewis Bibby directly behind. This is very much, I think, the closest battle on the track, Tom. I presume, I know there's battles going on all around the track, but this is for 3rd position. Ben's got a really good exit there. Will he ever let down the inside? Or will he wait and maybe force Rob into a mistake, but he doesn't. Although slightly tighter line for Leach there. Rob's covering the inside. We described this corner as well, Tom, on Monday as pretty awful, with the camber sort of rolling away for the corner.
It's a horrible one. I mean, there's not a lot else they can really do with it, as Jake Hewlett said, the fastest lap of the race at 25.5. Yeah, it's not great, but everyone's got to deal with it. That's a lot of curve.
Yeah.
Just take it, and that is going to put Lewis Bibby onto the back of us. We head down the hill again. And this is a back marker who's going to hold Rob up through the old hairpin, and this could give, as I think Leach got a little bit sideways, he has, and Bibby is now all over the back of him. Heading up to McLean's, not really an overtaking spot. It's just
he got out of the way. I did think, who is that? But it was a back marker, he got out of the way. So this is great racing that we're seeing for 3rd, 4th and 5th position. There is a gap back to Conor Murphy, quite a gap, and then we've got Tom Meverell. Meverell he started obviously higher than he is now, so I can't remember if we saw Tom Meverell in 7th position, whether Tom did have a coming together with anyone or a spin, but he's in 7th. Dave Buki in 16th, and it's Dave who is up 5 positions. So certainly some gainers and losers in this one. We've got a few of the cars are still on their, well, they're a lap behind, but they are still going, thankfully. It's still a very busy track, Tom. We've still got some battles going on. Jack Grime in 13th position.
As you can see by the timing tower, I've got the intervals up, so anything that's in orange, the gap, you can see that cars are pretty much nose to tail, and that goes right the way through the pack. And this is a battle for 13th, 14th and 15th. This is going to be great action as we head into the final corner.
I think have we got a battle? That's going to be contact, but it's not. It's Jack Grime on the outside line. So I think, is there a back marker involved in this? I know we saw some flashing. Was it, flashing to put the driver off in front, or I'm not sure. It doesn't look like a back marker, the way they're racing.
There's a car spinning. And they've all got through it, and that is Matthew Tidmarsh dropping down. So I don't think there's any back markers on the track currently on this section of track as Tidmarsh gets himself going again. Just checking on that gap. It started to spread out, that battle for the podium. The battle that isn't spreading out is Hewlett versus Harrod. Harrod's still in his wheel tracks, under a second.
I saw that Jake did actually get it to about 1 point or a second dead, whether it was just temporarily, but I know Pete Harrod under the second again, so it's good to see that the leaders less than a second, and it's been 8 laps now, 10 minutes into the race, 30 minutes left, a lot of concentration needed. We will see back markers as well. I'm just looking on the track map where the leaders are going through. We've got 26th position just heading out of the old hairpin, so there's still a good gap there in front of Jake Hewlett. Christopher Paul, 10th position, heading into the last corner. So he's got Mark Burton in front of him. Burton up 2 positions as well.
And we've also got Jack Grime fighting alongside Ben Sharp. Sharp going around the outside and gets the job. No, sorry, that is Ben Sharp and Christopher Paul. No, that is a back marker. That's why I was getting all confused. There's a back marker getting out the way. Apologies there.
Oh, I think, was that a
is
spinner
thing,
I
though.
saw behind? Yeah.
That is
Oh
Jack.
dear.
Huge off for some.
I think that could have been worse than it was, to be honest. There was cars travelling at funny angles.
Got through that. Got through that quite well. Looking for other gaps down through the field. Retirees who have not come out: Alex Kilner, Carl Swift, Martin Moore, and Reese Lewis. So they could have got terminal damage. Everybody else, though, I believe, is running. Checking in on.
Yep.
Here's another battle. Sedzikowski has.
Is that 20x by any chance? Is that a 20 incident? No, it's a really bad connection.
Yeah.
Someone get off the telephone in his house. You're rinsing the internet connection. Charles Heath, 23rd. You mentioned, Tom, there's 4 retirees, which there is, so there's 32 cars running at the moment. No, sorry, 33 cars running, I believe. So the leaders have gone through.
Roger and Vella, who was flashing the lights, maybe in anger at Jack Ryan, maybe in I'm coming through. Little put off.
That's a lot of
deep.
Yeah. Oh dear. Oh.
Get on the power, boys. Head
Keep it
down
calm,
the hill.
guys. So Mike Moss in 14th position, up 18 places.
Having a look into Old Hairpin. It's a cracking little scrap that we've got, the 12th, 13th and 14th.
Mike is the biggest mover of the field, up 18 positions. Rodron in front of him up 7, and then Jack Ryan up 11 positions. How's your man Gavin Ranson getting on in 8th position? I think he's still
doing a job.
Just doing a job, up 11 places.
13 seconds behind P7, 8 seconds ahead of P9. Just keep doing what you're doing, Gavin. Sensational stuff.
Lewis Bibby on the back of P4, Ben Leach, as they head down the hill. This is probably the closest, and one of the closest battles on the gap. This one means a lot for P4 and P5. Bibby, a late joiner to this one. I think he got about 3 or 4 laps in.
He'll be getting up to speed now.
Yeah.
You would think, but Donington's hard to overtake unless you get a really good run. Their pace seems quite similar as that fight that we had. Roger and Vella is coming into the pits.
Interesting.
So that promotes Mike Moss up another position onto the back of
Carl Swift in chat, by the way. His Carl's VR switched off down the hill to the old hairpin. Not where you want it. Sorry about that, Carl. Sorry you're not racing on track with us.
Flipping back.
Bibby pushing Ben Leach round there. Bibby does look to be the faster of the 2 guys for the last lap or so. But Ben doing a good job.
You look at the times from the top 5, all lapping closely. Rob was actually 2 tenths quicker than the leader. Tom Metherall's into the 25s, chasing down Conor Murphy and just a second back. There they are. Bibby got very close going into Old Hairpin. But it is managing to, or Ben Leach is managing to keep Bibby behind him. What other fights do we have? I believe Higginson on the back of Mike Moss, having a little look, trying to put him off. Nothing doing there. As we scroll further down, we've got Sedzikowski blinking away. Someone's still on the phone. And the other drivers may or may not be seeing this. We've got a spin behind, people being collected. And it's just proven...
Great. Yeah, Tim Darracott off the track.
Back on.
I think that was Bibby going through, so...
Yes.
Yeah, here we go. Is that?
And this it is.
It is. Yes, Jake Hewlett down in P3. What's happened to Jake from the lead? That puts Pete Harrod in the lead of this one with Rob Baker second. And this is... Let's have a look. Was it a back marker? Coming back on track. Oh, here we go. Was it a mistake into the chicane? I mean, Luke, I believe, is in front. He is. That's Luke flashing away. And then
Oh no! So there goes. And
it looks like his car's got away with minimal damage, thankfully.
I just
Lewis
want to
Bibi,
follow
though.
this on, because then here's Hewlett rejoining, and somehow, and oh, just a late move.
I think
Leach
there's a tiny bit of netcode or something on
Yeah, you can see a little bit of
yeah.
slight, but it was just a bit of indecision from Leach, and that's allowed Bibi up into fourth. It's promoted Rob Baker, who's now only 1.5 seconds. Oh, Leach going wide in the background.
He's
Gonna
pushing.
cost them some time.
He's pushing now. And the tyres, I mean, the tyres will be fine, but if you start to overdrive this and lock them up and, you know, light up the rear tyres, then the temperatures do go a little bit wacky, and it can get a bit of a handful.
We've got
Tom Metherell in
Metherell,
7th.
yep, closing in on Connor Murphy, as I mentioned, and then we've also got a great little gaggle. Higginson still on the back of Noah's got past Mike Moss now, so we've got Mike Moss in the middle of the sandwich, and the DC Shoe Company car pushing him through Old Hairpin. And Ben Sharp has been the quickest. He's been in the 26s, so he is quicker than these guys. And oh, Moss goes round. I think that was all on his own doing.
It didn't look like he had that nudge from behind, did it?
It looked like he'd maybe
Seemed
gone
all right.
But he'll be able to get that going again. As
That car does look horrific without a bumper on it.
Yes, it doesn't look great. And here though is Metherell down the hill. He's been closing in. He's been a good sort of few tenths of a second a lap quicker. And now is right onto the back of Connor Murphy. But as Bibi showed, unless the driver in front makes a little bit of a mistake or indecision, it is hard to pass.
It is, but this is good pressure that Metherell's applying. Bibi heading into the chicane.
That's Sedzikowski getting out of the way.
And it looks like Jake, I know obviously was in the lead, but just slightly pulling away from Bibi, do we think? He's still less than a second behind, but...
It'll be interesting. I mean, we'll try and take a look. It doesn't seem to be any noticeable damage on the car. Rob has closed this gap down.
Oh, had done. Had closed the gap to a second, but I think he just lost a couple of tenths around that last corner.
He's
that back
definitely
marker.
been coming down though. Yeah, still 2 tenths quicker last time around. So something to really. Bibi puts in a 25.7, showing great pace, great race pace. We saw Ben Leach having a few issues, so he's dropped into the 27s. Hopefully he can sort of just regather himself and press on. Ben Sharp, as I mentioned, is now all over the back of Martin Higginson for 13th place, and is going to go down the inside for Melbourne Hairpin.
Can he get it stopped? He can, nicely. That's a good move.
Mark Guy is off the track, still off the track, with a little bit of damage. But nothing too serious, I hope. Oh, we had a spinner in front. No.
Oh, that I think is Mark Guy there, just who had contact with. Is that Mark Guy that had contact?
Mark Guy was in the black livery.
Yeah.
And just as we were talking up, Pete Harrod's put in a purple sector 2, so putting the hammer down.
1.6 seconds, almost 1.7 from Rob Baker now. So Pete's got the.
This is close.
This is close indeed. That back marker, whether they just close that gap for us, but we've got Bibi now directly behind Jake Hewlett, who was the quickest guy in qualifying, but we saw have contact with a back marker, and now we've got Lewis Bibi on the back of Jake Hewlett for the last place on the podium. Still the gap, Pete Harrod and
So we're hopping
Rob
around,
Baker.
we've got side by side Metherell and Murphy. There's action everywhere. Round the outside, can he make it work? No, we're going to look for the cutback.
Tom, definitely the quicker guy of these two at this point. But yeah, Connor Murphy doing a really good job, doing some nice defensive driving, keeping it clean. Hopefully, don't have commentators curse. But both driving really well. It's good driving from both of them.
Just over halfway. still at least probably, 14 laps to go. So a lot can still happen. We've seen a lot has happened so far. Car off. Hopefully he's going to rejoin. I believe that was Fraser Bradburn being able to get back on track. And you can see on the left, so Ben Sharp and Christopher Paul, I believe, are already a lap down. Does that, I think, they might be.
Well, let's
so
have a look. Yeah, I think you're right, because if you look at the... Yes, you are. So if you look at the leaders are just finishing one of their laps, and then we've got... Is that right?
No, sorry, it's gone. So I think
a bit haywire.
Yes.
So I think the leaders are lapping up to P18 at this point. By the looks of it, they're just going into turn 1. I've got P18 in front of them.
Rob 6/10 quicker that lap around, so gap back down to pretty much 1 second. And we'll just hopefully it will be a little bit of calm for this portion of the race, and drivers can now really settle into their rhythm. See in the background, Lewis Bibby is still all over the back of Jake Hewlett looking for a route to pass, and Metherell has passed Murphy.
Was that into turn 1, or is it
Here's
previous
a replay.
It's towards the air. It's into the hairpin.
Out of the chicane, probably got better run, maybe took a little bit more pace, and just gets it done. Very nice overtake indeed. But Murphy's not giving it up, he's staying right with him, and they are coming up to some lap traffic, which can always present opportunities. So,
well, it's now Murphy applying the pressure to Metherell, where the tables have turned. So can Metherell keep it cool and lead these two cars through? Where they've got traffic. Oh, it looks like Murphy just going a little bit sideways out of the chicane there, and we've got the back markers ahead of us, as the gap is under a second now for the leaders. Baker and Harrod, they've completed lap 17. Like you said, we are very much over halfway distance of this 40-minute race.
I mean, look at those times from the top 4, all lapping within a tenth. So great consistency from the top 4, and it's what we mentioned right from really the outset, through practice, through qualifying. It's about hitting your marks, consistent lapping, don't make mistakes, be wary of lap traffic, and these guys at the top really have kind of done that the best. Again, another shout out though to Gavin Ranson, who at the moment is on for my vote of driver of the day.
He's done everything that you needed to do, kept it clean. He's got it up 11 places. I mean, I think he was quite not lucky, but he did have a good opportunity, because he had such a cushion in terms of a big gap in front of him, a big gap behind, so he just needs to do his thing, and he's doing that. He's demonstrating that. We've not seen him racing as such, or directly racing with someone, but doing a good job nonetheless, and up 11 places. I'm sure he'll take that for now.
More lap traffic for Metherell and Murphy. The fight for P6 goes on. Looking on board.
That's another back marker in front of them. That's holding Metherell up slightly.
Track temp up to 31 degrees. I thought it was looking quite bright out there. So
still relatively early morning, coming to 9:30 in the sim. So that's a pretty ideal track conditions.
Yeah, and they'll be very rubbered in now. Carl is back on track though. He's got his VR firing. Oh,
he has.
I mean, that's not covered
Take
in
the
glory.
VR off, Carl. You don't get back on the couch.
But it's good to see him. He's back out there, and he's
yeah.
And obviously, what we haven't spoken about at all is the point system.
Yes.
So for the top, it's 15 points for the winner, 12-10 for third and second, and then consecutive numbers down 2-10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. And then from 11th to 30th is also 2 points. So it does pay if you can get back out on track. So obviously we had 36 drivers. You need to finish in the top 30 to score points. And it makes finishing in the top 10 all the more valuable for your championship aspirations. Obviously trying to finish as high up. So for example, someone like Anthony Mott, who has moved up 5 spots. Here he is on track. So that is obviously moving him up from what would be 2 points up to 4 points. So quite valuable to make your way up into that top 10.
Anthony was one of the guys in the practice on Monday, so clearly been putting the laps in, and running P9 is a strong result for him so far. He's up 5 positions, keeping it clean. Car's looking pretty clean as well. I don't think there's any damage on that. So he's doing
Just
a good
needs
job.
a livery.
Just needs a livery on it. Yeah, he's got the stock iRacing livery on, the stock works BMW. The gap as well, still looking at the leaders gap, just at 1.2 seconds. This Higginson, is this 4th position? It looks like it is. It's Higginson and Grime in front of him. That's an interesting line. Was he looking for a deeper apex or later apex, or just missed it altogether? I think he missed it, but he's closed back on the back of Jack Grime in front of him.
Oh! Rob Baker's through.
Rob Baker is through because there's a lot of traffic. That must have been traffic going into the chicane. Here we go.
Here it is. Yeah.
Hugely held up. And Rob takes advantage of that, says, thank you, I'll go up the inside. And now, I mean, you know, Rob's been maintaining that.
Oh, no!
My. We do not want to know what's going on inside his, well, the words that are coming out of it, yeah, the words coming out of his mouth right now. Let's put him down. It's 4th position by the looks of it, so.
This is. So here it is. Is it just going to be a spinner in front? Oh,
I don't know. Unless he was trying to take the really sort of tight line to, you know, apex just to get off the line for the guys, but if he did, it didn't work out very well. That's Pete Harrod then.
So I'm going to go. So this is the move that Rob takes advantage of, and then as we move.
So I think it was Kev Straw, I think.
And then
there's contact nonetheless. I'm not sure what happened there.
Back to the action.
So Pete Harrod now with a 3.3 second gap. Rob Baker, he's kind of in a bit of no man's land now by the looks of it in P4. He's going to be really disappointed with that. And backmarkers, you know, they come up in every race. You want to be, I guess, as predictable as possible, but again, I'm not too sure what was going on with that one. And he's on the back of some backmarkers at the moment, is Rob. But it's not all lost. He's in P4. It's 5 weeks of championship, so still plenty to go.
I mean,
Lewis Bibby in 3rd.
Worse.
It could have been a lot worse. Yeah, the car's not, you know, written off or anything. Lewis Bibby in 3rd position with Jake Hewlett fighting his way back. Was in a lead for a good portion of this race. We saw he also had backmarker trouble, but he's back in 2nd. So 10 minutes left, Tom. This, you know, this could still change. You know, there could still be some backmarker trouble for the guys, so it's not all over yet. As we say that, we've got, you know, Bibby all over the back of Hewlett, so there's plenty to play for. It does look like Pete Harrod, if he can just do his thing and keep it clean for the time being. 3.5 seconds gap is the biggest gap we've seen for the leader so far in the race. But again, still 10 minutes or so left, so let's see what happens.
Backmarker getting nicely out of the way. Just having a look. Now, it can be sometimes a little bit hit or miss, but in terms of off-tracks, I believe it is this man who has got the title at the moment. Fraser Bradburn on 14 off-tracks, 15 now, according to my software here. So, needs to make sure in this final 10 minutes doesn't get carried away.
20 is the limit. Is that a DQ or a drive? I think it's a drive-through, if I remember right.
I think it's a drive-through.
Yeah, and I wonder if that's why we saw Rodron going into the pits quite early on, but it was quite early, concerningly early for him to take a pit stop. Maybe he was just abusing the track limits too much, who knows. So that's lap 22 complete. Lap 21 complete as they go into lap 22. Still Lewis Bibby pushing Jake Hewlett around. He's staying there, not giving any space to Jake. Doing a really good job as well as Bibby.
I wonder if either Rob has got disheartened or damaged, because he's now lapping back in the 27s. Oh, as you've got big cars off in the background.
It's a big spin.
But we've got Tom
Metherell.
Metherell
Yeah,
lapping,
he's back to 5th.
and he's lapping at about a second quicker. So something must have happened to Ben Leach, who's dropped to 7th. I believe, yeah, Bibby would have just gotten off track, but has carried on and is absolutely fine, still 4/10 away. So it's just something that hopefully Rob doesn't have too much damage, because a second a lap, if he closes that fairly quickly, he's 4 seconds away is Metherell from Rob. So something to just keep an eye out for there. As we go down through, in terms of battles for position, this is the closest one on track, is still Lewis Bibby stalking Jake Hewlett, trying to steal that second place away, and the gap down to Pete Harrod is now 3 seconds, which is coming down another 4/10 there. I mean, I don't think they have quite enough time at that pace, but we'll see.
Pete Harrod also has got a pretty good gap in front of him, so nothing's going to directly impact him over the next lap or two, I would say. David Varley in chat can confirm it's drive-through penalty for 20 incidents. There we go. Thank you, David, for that. I wonder if we'll see Bibby size up an opportunity sort of later on. You know, he's certainly putting the pressure on, isn't he? I mean, we're seeing Hewlett stringing the neck of the BMW.
It's great to see Bibby in the wheel tracks. It's almost, you just want one of these straights to be a little bit longer to allow the slipstream. I mean, that's something that we can look forward to next week when we head to Spa.
Oh yes, yeah.
Because it's a brilliant track, but overtaking is at a premium. But I suppose it forces almost either high quality overtakes, drivers being daring, or it really punishes mistakes.
Yeah.
So it's swings and roundabouts.
Yeah, you're right. It is a great track. Certainly, you know, one of the classic British tracks. But when you compare it to Spa with the the long straights, you know, towards the start and the end of the lap there, just I guess it's just easier, more presented opportunities to try and overtake there. Whereas, like you said, Donington much harder. And Bibby's demonstrating that. He's been following Jake for a good few laps now, putting the pressure on, but Jake with the highest I rating of the field, so a very experienced sim racer, and he's certainly showing that with his composed nature, his consistency here. It's only been a back marker that sort of you know, caused him trouble. Yeah, but doing a good job, and so is Bibby as well, applying the pressure where he needs to, and certainly keeping on the back of Jake Hewlett. That gap under 3 seconds to Pete Harrod, so they are lapping quicker as well. But with 6 minutes left, where is Harrod on the track? He's got a gaggle of cars actually coming up, which could come into it. Yeah, so if you look at Hewlett's just coming out of the penultimate corner. So if he catches these guys, I've not really been keeping too much tabs on the sort of the P14, etc. The guys in front of their lap times, but with 6 minutes to go, yeah, he's very likely he's gonna catch them.
2 seconds a lap, and yeah, absolutely. So it is not done yet, and there's just streams of cars coming out the pits who are desperate to get back on track, which is good to see.
It is.
So that is. Yeah, it's not all done yet. He's going to have to navigate through the traffic. And then that obviously will be a lot harder for these two when 2 cars arrive on the scene.
How's the gap with Metherell and Baker? Did Rob Baker start to pick up the pace again, or was it just...
Yes, it's stabilised. So Rob was 3/10 quicker last lap.
Metherell P5 is...
held up slightly there.
Just saw Metherell fighting past a back marker there, doing a good job of it. It's a good result so far for a good position for Metherell.
Oh, Gavin's been shunted down to P10. Heartbreak. But I think it's just on pace. The guy.
I was going to say, yeah, his car's looking pretty pristine, to be honest. So, I mean yeah, 10
a car
position.
with no bumper has overtaken him.
yeah, he's up. He's still up 9 positions. Is Gavin? So.
Oh, 138 last time. Gavin must have had an issue. And I found it. Where is he? There he is, through McLean's.
So this cost him a lot of lap time.
Ah, the first mistake.
You've got to be so patient on the grass as well. I mean,
but he's still in
easy to
P10.
Yeah.
As we flick back to the leaders, still Lewis Bibby is about 4/10 away from Jake Hewlett. Rob Baker now back into the 26s. I'm curious to see go on board. Where's the string of cars that he's definitely coming up to? P11, 12, 13 and 14.
Yeah, who are actually obviously, you know, in the battle of their own. It looks like there's a, you know, bit of air in between them all, but one mistake can change their position. So, yeah,
There's 14. So you got 14, then a back marker, a couple of back markers, and then here is Pete Harrod. So 3 minutes to go.
2.7 the gap as well back to Jake Hewlett and Lewis Bibby. We just see them go through the chicane. And it's actually this part of the lap, the sort of final sector, where the leaders seem to just really close on the guys in front. As we see, I think a spinner there. It wasn't just is off the racing line, thankfully, as Pete goes through.
Jack Grime, I believe that was, and he's getting going again. Hopefully he'll stay out of the way.
Oh, it was Grime that was in that battle. And that's going to be... He's still there, Jack. And Bibby got through just about. May have just lost a 10.42 to Hewlett, but not too bad.
This could cost Pete quite a lot of time down the hill. He's got two cars in front of him. One's flashing the lights.
That's Rodron, who is in 20th, flashing Kilner in 32nd. So these are guys all on... Oh, where's that car appeared from? The Shadow Realm.
And Pete desperately trying to get through, and that was... And here's Hewlett flashing the lights. So it's all getting... I think we've got 2 laps to go, I make it.
Oh,
one more.
So what is that gap now? So it's 2.5. So Pete Harrod has lost a 10.42 on this lap so far. He's got more traffic ahead of him, but he's got a bit of a gap for the time being. I wonder if we'll just run out of time before it really sort of starts to take huge effect on the outcome of this race. So Hewlett again doing a solid job. 2.2 seconds a gap to Pete Harrod in first place. Bibby doing a great job as well. 3rd position. Rob Baker, I think he's accepted 4th position for now, and Metherell in 5th.
So yes, this will be white flag, final lap of the race, as we've only got 1 minute and 8 seconds to get round. And there's huge flashes of the lights, and I don't know if...
Well, let's stay on board with this one, because we know, you know, this is... Oh, he's got out of the way. That's good to see. He's got out of the way, but Bibby, you know, he looks like he's probably a little bit too far back on this, going onto this white flag lap. We'll see what happens. Half a second the gap. He's been there, and that half a second gap for a good few laps now. But I do think Jake's got what it takes just to keep ahead of these two, unless we see Bibby really close on in this last 2 sectors. Maybe. And Bibby's certainly pushing.
It's got to be an absolute send through the final chicane to have any chance. I think Melbourne F will be his best bet.
Yeah, we'll see.
What can he do? The gap's closing. Under 3.5 tenths. What can he do?
Much
late
more
on the
aggressive.
brakes.
Yeah, much more late on the brakes. He's got a good exit.
Here we
He's definitely going to have a look as Hewlett goes defensive. But Bibby's got so much more speed out there. Can he hang it around the outside? And that'll give him the... Oh, he's going for the cutback. It looks like Hewlett's parked the car where he needed to, although both have got a good drive out of there. I mean, can Bibby hang it around the outside into the last corner? As Harrod goes through, he's surely going to take this. Bibby again looking for a better exit, but Hewlett doing everything that he needed to, and he's covered Bibby off. Great driving from both of them. And a great race.
Yeah.
Congrats, Pete Harrod. Started 2nd, but takes the victory from Jake Hewlett. Jake Hewlett started 1st, finishes 2nd. Lewis Bibby, he's up 5 positions from 8th, so a really good race from him. And Rob Baker wants to be careful, didn't want to get a drive-through, although He's quit. Back to the pits. He takes 4th position. Metheril, good result from him. I think he lost a couple of places, so he certainly had the pace in qualifying, but still a solid 5th. Anthony Mott in 8th position. He's coming to complete his lap. And where did Ranson finish? Ben Sharp's in 9th. Ranson's still in 10th.
And we've got, I think Mark Burton will be the last driver to cross the line. No. I stand corrected. James Forsyth seems to be as a driver.
Yeah, we've got P16, I think, is the last person on the track. Looking at the track map. Charles Heath. Not seen much of Charles, but in 16th position. Where does that sort of put him in terms of... where's Charles? I'm trying to look there. Up 9 positions. And I think we said, Tom, consistency in the sort of practice you need just to, if you can avoid the back markers, keep it clean, have some relatively good race pace. That's, a huge factor in this, in iRacing. Because as soon as you go off, just like in real life, you lose so much time. And if you don't, you're very much in with a good shot of picking up some solid points. As we've seen, Gavin had 1 spin, but he still manages to take a good 10th position, did Gavin Ranson. Charles Heath up 9 positions, 16th. And he's finishing in the pits. That was a really good race, Tom. I think it was everything that we kind of expected. Early drama, early on. But yeah, Pete Harrod takes the victory. From 2 seconds was the gap in the end to Jake Hewlett. It's saying Rob Baker for me in 3rd. Is that because Bibby's left the session already? I'm not sure
Bibby's got what looks to be a 40-second time penalty.
I wonder if he just picked up the 20X and didn't. He must have done. Mustn't have taken the drive-through, and he's added it to the end. So Baker, as it stands on our screens, takes 3rd position from Tom Metheril, who's also promoted to 4th. Conor Murphy in 5th, Ben Leach in 6th, and Lewis Bibby. He's showing his 7th position, and Anthony Mott, Ben Sharp, and Gavin Ranson round out the top 10, and then it's Higginson, Burton, Christopher Paul in 13th, Jack Grime in 14th, Connor Sheldon. Connor was involved in early lap drama. I know we saw that he didn't have a front end for the majority of the race. He takes 15th, Charles Heath in 16th, Oliver Sig in 17th, Mark Guy in 18th, and then James Forsyth. Rodron Vella, who I think we also saw take an early penalty, or certainly dived into the pits. He finishes 2 laps down. Mike Moss, Dave Bukey, Adam Shepherd. I think Adam will be disappointed as well. I think Adam started much higher than that. Liam Davis in 24th. Luke, our organiser, in 25th position. Fraser Bradburn in 26th. Kevin Straw, I think, was the backmarker that had the altercation with Rob Baker later on in the race. He takes 27th, Matthew Tidmarsh 28th, Tim Darracott in 29th, and Alex Richardson completes 30 drivers in 30th position. So we did have some dropouts. Looks like we had 6 or 7 drivers that couldn't go on much longer, obviously down to damage. But Tom, good race from everyone. I think a lot of the drivers probably learnt a lot there as well. We're at Spa next week, so a different opportunity, a different set of challenges with that one, but we mentioned the opportunities to overtake certainly come up a little bit more often at Spa. And then week 3 Silverstone, and then week 4 at Alton Park to finish off at Snetterton for week 5 on the 3rd of June. Do you want to go through some footage early on, Tom? I'm not sure if you can scroll all the way back on our sort of...
I can give it a good go.
Yeah, it might take a while, but I know there was quite a lot of drama early on, and again with 36 drivers, very difficult to capture everything. We obviously want to sort of, stay on board with leaders, make sure that they get through safely. But it did look like sort of early on. Is this? There we go. We are heading into turn 1, on board with Adam Shepherd. So it was so we had a spinner. Was that contact Adam Shepherd on his own?
That looked like Adam Shepherd spun on his own, but what I'm really sort of interested in is, that's not the best rejoin to start the race.
Unfortunately, Adam kept the car rolling forward onto the racing line, and that kind of created a bit of a storm for the guys behind by the looks of it. We had spinners on their own as well. This is Saving Private Ryan, effectively. That were the starting of Saving Private Ryan.
I want to catch this because someone spins here. This was the moment.
This was, I think, was it the? Are we looking at the orange car then? Is that what?
Yes. I'm just gonna.
And the DeWalt. Yeah, here we go. So Christopher Paul, was it?
Yes, the 22 car.
So he gets out. Yeah, he gets out on the yeah.
And he's gonna spear.
Is that Murphy then?
Yeah.
Murphy went on to finish in 6th position. So despite that spin, that Murphy's now gone out of the picture. Here he is. Oh no, it's Martin Moore apparently.
Oh yes. So
who finished in 35th position. So I wonder if that was.
Oh, he's gonna get absolutely
terminal damage
clobbered. So there's Carl Swift. Oh, and sadly, the session has ended.
Oh, so we can't bring you any more footage. Can we not go back?
No, that's your lot. Unfortunately,
that's your lot. Game over. Although it looks like I can hear some cars now.
Oh, we're back.
Yeah, we're back.
We're back.
Although are we gone again? Who knows?
No. This is just bear with me, please. So there's.
So Carl Swift went through. So this is before the VR cut off. He's dodged a bullet there. Does he get away cleanly? He's gone to the grass, but.
I mean, you've got cars. Oh, there's there's cars everywhere. Ewan Marshall, part of the Meraki racing team.
Did he get punted from behind then, or did he? I think he had to slam on the brakes.
So he's stuck.
He slammed on. Has he slammed on? Yeah, he's had to.
Oh, he just got collected.
He got tagged, yeah, and spun around.
And you're gonna have cars everywhere, and then the next pack comes through with cars still everywhere, and there's gonna be there's spearing off into the tires, and that's straight to the scene of the accident.
I think that was just didn't know the other driver was there and close off the racing line.
And then we've got, and this will probably be. No, I was going to say that was going to be Carl's VR shutting off.
I think that was later on. This was interesting. We saw a lot of cars here where they just all seem to head into. Yeah, I mean 3 or 4 are wide heading into one corner with a blind crest as well. As we see 3 or 4, 5, 6, 7 cars off the track at that point. That really cost a lot of the guys so much time and damage, etc. So yeah, not good in that sense for that one corner ended a lot of races.
We've got Ben Sharp, as we did see that he lost his front bumper at some point.
Was this it then, or?
I'm expecting this to be an incident, and he's gonna go up the inside. Oh no, just collected. Is anyone gonna collect him? Synchronized pirouettes, lighting the rear tires up.
Keep it going.
And no, that doesn't seem any incidents there.
Well, we saw, like you said, later on in the race, Ben didn't have a front to that car. Bibby, who we think went on to finish 7th, but crossed the line in 3rd, did a penalty come into it. We're not too sure. We'll have to look at the official results at the end of the
getting
session.
Past Tom Metherath, we know Tom made a mistake. Is this slightly outbroke himself into the old hairpin? That cost him dearly, didn't it? That 3 positions in one. Out wide he goes. Yes, skating across.
Yeah, I remember seeing this, and then I wonder if he got airborne there.
2, and then I mean it's a good rejoin. It's a safe rejoin. He stays to the left rather than joining straight onto the racing line.
It's costly though, wasn't it? When he still went on to finish in 5th position. Could he actually even be 4th position with Bibby's penalty drop? Again, still waiting to see if that is effective.
And I'm just trying to find the one that I really want to find is Hewlett getting mixed up with the back.
Oh, the back marker. Yeah, and obviously Baker as well. We saw that. We looked at that 2 or 3 times, didn't we? But I think it was Kevin Shaw that he had the altercation with.
So here it is. And it's just going to be.
It's very difficult if you're Jake Hewlett at that point. Very difficult. I don't really know which way Tim was going. I don't. You know, I mean, it caught him in such a, in the chicane, which is the worst.
Here it is.
You know.
So it's going to be. Luke is going to pass and is blinking as well, which doesn't help. So he's overtaking.
Yeah, we saw
Tim.
that. Yeah, we saw Luke flashing like mad, didn't we? In and out of the game.
So that then puts Tim at a funny angle. Jake's carried his same speed up. And I think here, I mean, hindsight's a wonderful thing. Tim needs to just stay left. He's then kind of turned back to the apex.
Yeah, very, very difficult.
In the background.
Yeah.
I mean, it could have been a lot worse, and through goes.
So it's at that point that we saw Pete Harrod go through. He took the lead. Rob Baker went through to take second at that point. So it was all looking good for Rob and for Pete. I mean, it looked good for Pete throughout from here onwards because he took the victory. But then Rob had his moment with Kev at the very last corner, Kev Straw.
Yes. So here is going to be. So this is Kev, and let's go. Hopefully, if we go to on board.
I just wonder if Kev just tried to, like I said when it was live, I was like, he's got very deep there, and it's just getting interesting. Make of that what you will. I mean,
that puts it in a bit of a different light, sadly.
Yeah. So Kev went very deep on the brakes, actually taking an interesting line into there. And I guess if at that point, if you are on board with Rob, you think, cool, Kev's overshot the apex. I'm gonna go through here, but then we see Kev close that entirely, and unfortunate for the leader Rob at that point. And that that put Rob to fourth, where he finished. Again, could be fourth, could be third, with Bibby taking a penalty.
It's third. iRacing must have given out that 40-second time penalty for a reason.
Yeah.
And so I would assume that the result would stand for that.
I think you're right. You're right. Well, shall we end it there, Tom, and say goodbye to everyone who's joined us. If you've joined us and you're not subscribing, guys, do hit the subscribe button, please. That'd be great. Next week we're at Spa. It's going to be the same time, about 8:45. We'll go live. We'll join qualifying, and I know I'm sure there'll be a practice session as well throughout the week. But hopefully more of the guys will join that and they can work on their lap times. But yeah, really good race this time around, Tom. We saw a lot. We saw some great racing, and we saw some incidents that I think we thought we were going to get, and we did get early on. But yes, do join us next week. Thanks again, Tom, for joining me. Until then, we'll see you, but stay safe and stay healthy, and yeah, see you next week. Cheers, guys.